What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hey, hi. Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some exciting topics for you. I'm sorry about the lighting. I seem to be dark and you cannot really see my face and things like that or whatever, but we're going to push through and we're going to make this work. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out my producer, Mark Lee, so we can get into these hot topics.
How's it going there, Dr. Anthony? I see that you've got a lot of things going on in your life as always, and that's always an amazing thing that you've got all these things happening in your life and you've got all kinds of things taking place, and always glad to see your lovely face and all in that space. But yeah, lots going on in the world, and I know that you're on top of these things and everything like that because you are always on top of whatever's taking place, and it's always doing an amazing job of keeping us informed of a lot of things that are taking place in the world that people need to be knowing about and all along those lines. So always glad to see you. Always glad to see what you've got going on and what kind of new and amazing things you have happening in your life and all in that way. So it's always good to see you. You always got some amazing things happening in your life and that you're doing and everything like that. So always good to see you. I did see some good news from BET, and I know we're going to get to some deep issues, but apparently Louis Carr, their president, has confirmed the return of the Soul Train Awards as he's laying out plans for the network's new era. So there's going to be a new era at BET, and Whoopi Goldberg has launched Whoop Inc., which is a publishing imprint that's going to spotlight new and established authors. So maybe you can get with Whoopi and she can print your next book because I know you got that amazing children's series of yours and everything like that. And then Victor Gluck, who was the brother that went on Artemis, thanked his cocoa-skinned wife and daughter for their support. So he was the brother that was up there with the four of them that did Artemis. So we did have a brother that was on the trip, and he was using this as an opportunity to take pride in his own ethnicity and all along those lines.
Yes, go ahead and send me the information for Whoopi Goldberg, information on her publishing company, and I will definitely reach out and see if we can get some things moving and shaking. But yes, big ups to the Black pilot. That's a major milestone for us, and I am looking forward to seeing some more amazing things from him and what he's going to bring to NASA and what he's going to expose our kids to and things like that. But without any further ado, let's get into the hot topics, Mark. So everything has been going on lately. We have been talking about race-based things. We've been talking about separation, segregation, a lot of things that has been, targeting Black Americans. And when I say Black Americans, I mean foundational Black Americans. So one of the things is separatism and delineation from us to other racial groups. And so when we say that we want to separate and we want to delineate ourselves and put ourselves in our own category, there has been a lot of backlash. So I want to know, why there's a lot of backlash when it comes to foundational Black Americans, delineating ourselves from everybody else. But when other Black ethnic groups come over here, they can say, oh, I'm not Black. I know Black. I'm African. I know Black. I'm Dominican. I know Black. I'm Haitian. So why is it that, they get an opportunity to say that they're not Black and they're whatever they are, but we cannot say that we're Black American and we're not African American? Because what they fail to realize is we did not migrate here from the continent of Africa. Some of the ancestors did come from the continent of Africa, but we can trace our lineage and our heritage back generations to generations to generations to generations. And a lot of those people don't understand that our people are from here. We're not from there. Now, granted, did the transatlantic slave trade happen? Yes, it did. Did we have ancestors from Africa? Yes, we did. But most Black Americans, their ancestors are from here. They're not from Africa. There was Black people already here, foundational Black people already here. There right now. There's a fallout between Native Americans and people who thought that they were Native Americans being pushed off of the reservations and being told that they no longer can identify as Native American, and they have to find somewhere else to go, and they would no longer receive money. So, the problem too, what we're facing is people want to, piggyback and put a tailspin on us so that they can basically reach out and get what the government is offering us. And in terms of what I'm saying, the government is offering us, I'm talking about reparations, because I do believe that we are going to receive reparations at some point in our lifetime. And so everybody else is trying to tag along, saying that we don't need to do DNA tests about foundation of Black Americans. No, we need to do DNA tests. We need to separate from everybody else so that they know who we are versus who they are. Because when it comes to them, saying that, oh, I'm Ghanaian, or I'm from this, I'm Liberian, I'm from that, I'm African, they won't know parts of us. But since there's money in the talks and things like that or whatever, now everybody wants to be affiliated and associated with foundational Black Americans. I don't know if there was a UN meeting, and the United States basically rejected what Ghana was proposing in terms of the UN, and recognizing, not necessarily recognizing slavery as one of the main atrocities. The United States did recognize slavery as one of the main atrocities against, humanity, but they did not support what Ghana was bringing forth. And the reason, and a lot of people who I've been seeing, speaking on this, have totally missed the mark. The reason the United States did not recognize what Ghana was bringing forth is for the simple reason is Ghana wants the reparations. Ghana does not want the reparations to go to foundational Black Americans. Ghana wants the reparations to go to the country the country of Ghana in Africa to support their economy and to support Black people over there. Ghana has to understand you were already paid. You were paid with the tobacco, the guns that the settlers over there gave you. There's no, you cannot say in one token that you sold your people into slavery, you were paid for it, but then you want to come back and claim reparations for those same people that you sold into slavery. No, it doesn't work like that. And so I applaud the United States for standing 10 toes down, saying that they would not support what Ghana is, bringing in terms of the resolution, because there was no clear indication of who will receive the money.
Hey, Dr. Anthony, just really quickly along those same lines, because actually I talked to a gentleman, I think this was about a year or two ago when I was going to my barber that I've been having for a number of years and everything like that. And he was telling me about the year of return, which was in 2019. And there's even an initiative that is called Beyond the Return, which is through 2030. So apparently Ghana is actively encouraging Black Americans and the African diaspora to relocate, reinvest, and in some cases acquire citizenship to build a new life in Ghana. So the campaign serves to foster economic growth and heal what they're calling historical divides and everything like that. So would you ever make it a point to maybe go to a country like Ghana? Because Ghana has urged Black Americans to move to West Africa, citing opportunities for investment and a welcoming environment. And hundreds of people have gained citizenship, and some traditional leaders have even been offered land for agricultural settlement. And over 1,500 people have moved from the U.S. to Ghana since the 2019 initiative and everything like that. And I didn't even know about this Beyond the Return, which apparently is going to 2030.
So let me explain something. I've already been to Ghana. It ain't no way in hell I'm giving up my U.S. citizenship to go move over there. And I'm just going to put it to you like this. It was nothing that I expected. I was actually traumatized. That's why I haven't really posted and talked about my visit to Ghana. I was traumatized from the whole the whole Ghanaian experience and things like that. Now, granted, did I meet some nice people over there? Yes, I met a couple of nice people over there, but outside of the city of Accra, Ghana is not very developed. It's not even a third world country. I reference it as eighth world, ninth world, and things like that. So no, I would not be encouraging nobody to give up their U.S. citizenship to go and move to that country and things like that. And what they're failing to tell people is a lot of Americans are going over there and they're being murdered by those people. A young lady around 60, 61, 62 years old moved over there and was living over there. She was doing outreach missions and things like that, trying to help the people of Ghana. She was just murdered by someone over in Ghana. So no, there is no way in hell that I would give up my American citizenship to move to Ghana and claim citizenship. And yes, they are trying to say the point of return, and they're even trying to copy Juneteenth, saying that they want to do Juneteenth. We're not. Foundational Black Americans are not falling for that. This is a money gimmick with them. These people are trying to scam us. They're trying to steal our identities. They're trying to become us. They want Africa to become the new, basically, Black Americans, but they don't want us foundational Black Americans. They want them to benefit. And even so, we can take it a step further. I talked about this last week with them trying to take over Essence Fest. Essence Fest has always been grounded and rooted in Black American history, Black culture, and things like that. And for the past 2 years, it has been a shit show because the Africans bought it and the Africans took it over. And this year they're talking about a culture of festivals, a festival of cultures and things like that. They want to have a Jollof rice versus jambalaya rice cook-off. And I basically did an experiment when I went home and I asked, native Louisianians, did they even know what jollof rice was? Nobody even knew what jollof rice was. I didn't even find out what jollof rice was until I became an adult. And that was like recently. And I even tried to eat it over in Ghana, but when I got over there, the food made me sick. I stayed sick over there, and things like that. And bringing up that, another lady that was over there went over to Ghana to basically have a vacation or whatever. She caught malaria, got sick, and died over there. So the family, her daughters, are now trying to do a GoFundMe to raise money to even bring her body back to the United States. So there's a lot of things that they're not telling the American people, especially foundational Black Americans, that is happening over there in Ghana. Those people are targeting us. They're trying to steal our identity. They're trying to steal our credit. They're killing us over there in those places. There was a lady went to Tanzania and was almost kidnapped. She had to fight for her life to not get kidnapped because the person at the hotel and the person that came to get her were working in conjunction together and things like that. So no, there's no way in hell that I would give up my American citizenship to even consider getting a
so I'm guessing you're not a big fan of African cuisine. I know that our mayor here in Durham, his wife is from Zimbabwe, and they have a couple of restaurants. Now, sometimes the food might be pricey and everything like that, but there's also an Ethiopian restaurant, and there are a number of other African restaurants. I think we've got 4 or 5 here in the Durham area. I know that there is a very popular one that's been here for decades called the Palace, that was started by the family that is Kenyan. They actually do Black August in the Park, which is actually a celebration of African American culture and everything like that. But the Ochellas actually formed that event, which definitely celebrates the African American population, even though Mr. Ochello and I think Mr. Ochello, the son, was born here in the States and everything like that. But his father and his mother were definitely of Kenyan descent, and I think were born in Kenya, if I remember correctly, because I think they might even be related to the same family as President Obama and everything like that, and all along those lines. But I'm guessing you're not a big fan of African cuisine.
No. When I tell you I was sick as a dog when I was over there. I had lost so much weight. I couldn't keep food down. I couldn't keep anything on my stomach or whatever. So I was basically, the whole time that I was over there, was basically on liquids and fruits and things like that. And you just really can't survive off of eating just that. I did try to eat chicken. Again, nothing that I was eating was staying on my stomach. So no, I am not a fan of their food. And I'm not a real big fan of, trying different foods when I'm outside of the country. So I always travel with safe foods myself that I know that I can eat, just in case that there's something that I cannot eat when I'm out of the country and things like that. So no, I am not a big fan of their food. We have an okra dish that we have that we cook in Louisiana. I will eat okra, but not the way that they prepare it, because I cannot do that slime. They actually eat the slime with something called fufu and things like that or whatever. I've never had fufu. Don't want it. Don't want to try it, and things like that, because I do have food allergies, and
Hmm.
so I'm not real big on trying foods, different foods, and things like that or whatever. So when I go out the country, I eat safe foods. I eat like rice. I'll eat like soup or broth or things like that. Things that I know that I can eat. I stick to like chicken, and I'm real particular if I eat beef or not, because I don't know what kind of animals that they're processing over there, and things like that or whatever. So no, I am not a fan of their food. And
So I guess you would not be, because I know that I am a member of Yelp Elite and have been for a number of years. Because I, unlike you, like to try different dishes. There are certain things that I am much better at than others, and everything like that. But I've been a Yelp Elite. I think there were a couple of years that I missed, but I've been a Yelp Elite for 5 out of the last 7 years, and have definitely tried everything from Asian
sounds
food
like
to
you have
African.
background noise, Mark.
Huh?
It sounds like you have background noise.
Oh yes, there's African dance going on here in the background. So
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I was about to
yeah,
say, I was like,
yeah,
okay, I
there's
don't know.
African dance and
Okay,
African drumming takes place on Monday. So yeah, you'll probably
okay.
able to hear a little bit of that in the background as well, because I am at the Hayti Heritage Center. They're also going to show a film about Brother Yusef, who was a jazz legend. That'll be on the 30th at the end of the month and everything like that. But they'll be showing that film on the 30th of this month and everything like that. So they're actually doing a trial run, I think, of the film, just to make sure that it's in good shape, because he was a legendary jazz performer that passed away several years back, but he is
Mhm.
definitely well known in the community and all along those lines. But yeah, like I said, I don't think that you would be doing the whole Yelp or the there's a couple of other ones that are food review sites and everything like that. But I know that you're very you have those food allergies, and I can relate to that. I have family members that have food allergies, and you're also very particular about what you eat. So I know that you would probably not be doing a lot of these kind of reviews that I sometimes will do and everything like that, just because you have to be cautious about what you're eating.
Yeah, I have to be very, very cautious about what I'm eating. So, even when I'm traveling outside the country, that's my one fear is I do not want to be sick, stricken, down sick where I cannot make it back to the United States. Because what I'm not going to do is stay over there. They are going to put me on a plane and they're going to send me back to the States. I will not receive medical care. I will not receive anything. I will go to the U.S. Embassy. I will go to the airport. I will do all those things to get back to the United States. And one of the things that I do when I'm traveling is I always register with the Department of State, and I always find out where the U.S. Embassy is, know the street name, and basically like a general location when I'm traveling, so that if anything goes down, then I know where the U.S. Embassy is, and I can get to the U.S. Embassy. Because once you get to the U.S. Embassy, that's like standing on U.S. soil. So yeah, no, I am not a big fan of like eating their food and things like that or whatever. That's not me. But I will say that well, before we get into the second part of this, let's go ahead and roll the videos. Did you get the
Yeah, we
other?
wrote the video from Ann Culture and everything like that. So let's check out this video and what she was saying.
Yeah,
Defending
and
immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience. What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that, because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. I mean, I think the way liberals have treated blacks like children, and many of their policies have been harmful to blacks. At least they got the beneficiary group right. We do have to, I mean, we shouldn't. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are desirous of having abortions, but or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. We dropped the flags after 5 minutes.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks.
See, this is essentially the problem, and the Republicans
Can
don't
I just say,
understand.
what have we done to the immigrants? We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country.
But you see, most of
And she's absolutely correct. We don't owe immigrants anything. We don't owe them anything. And they have been piggybacking off of the backs of foundational Black Americans for civil rights for a long time, and exploiting what we have gone through and what we continue to go through to receive, reparation, to try to receive reparations and things like that, because there was this Democratic politician not long ago saying that we owe reparations for immigrants who were being deported and things like that. So you mean to tell me, I want you to make it make sense, Mark. So these people come over here illegally. They have been receiving American goods, American services, and things like that, such as TANF, SSI benefits, and all those things. And they're being deported back to their countries, but we owe them money because they came over here illegally and things like that. Make it make sense. We shouldn't have to owe them anything. They are over here illegally. And I'm not saying that they can't come over, but do it the right way. Fill out the paperwork. Go through the process that the United States has for immigrants that want to migrate to the U.S. And what a lot of people fail to realize is the difference between naturalized citizenship and naturalized citizenship. When they come over here, they don't understand that their citizenship can be revoked. Black people, foundational Black Americans, are the only ones out of the ethnic groups whose citizenship cannot be revoked and who cannot be deported. And that's what they fail to realize, is because we were brought over here against our will. They came over here illegally because they wanted to. So there's a difference. And they don't understand how the birthright citizenship is going to affect them. And if Trump has his way, with the birthright citizenship, he can go back and say, all the people who were, born over here to an illegal mother, you no longer have citizenship. And see, what they fail to realize is, and I think a lot of the misconstruing of that law is that they're saying that all people who are born on U.S. soil is United States citizens, which that is inaccurate. It goes back to the Dred Scott case and saying that all Black people and the descendants of Black people, the descendants of Black slaves, enslaved people, are automatically American citizenships, not illegal immigrants. And so what people fail to realize is also, if the parent is illegal, the child is illegal. They get no citizenship. And so Trump has enacted a executive order that says that all children now, after these 30 days has passed, if they're born to an illegal immigrant or a person who comes over here just to have a baby so that their child can get U.S. citizenship, their child will not get U.S. citizenship or whatever.
Well, I mean, that was one of the things that Obama was trying to keep going, and other presidents, including Biden, because the rule is that individuals born in the U.S., which is what birthright citizenship is, are protected from deportation. So I think that Trump is trying to change some of those rules. Now, whether that's fair or not, because they say that citizenship revocation is rare, and some advocates argue that the expansions of immigration enforcement machinery might create risk for even all African Americans, whether they are from another country or this country, the foundational Americans that you were saying, and everything like that. Because there's even some news that is saying that Black immigrants, including those that are legal permanent residents, and I've got a number of friends of mine that have come here for university work and different other work from some of the African nations, face a disproportionately high rate of detention and deportation, comprising over 20% of non-citizens facing removal on criminal grounds, despite being a smaller percentage of the immigrant population. So you would think there would probably be more of the Latin population and some of the other populations, because there's not that much of the African population that is here in this country. But a number of them are, even here in the Research Triangle Park, they're working legitimate jobs, and they have legitimate jobs, and they have done, as you have said, and everything. They've gone through the proper channels and everything. But if there are folks like Trump that might be trying to get them out of the country just because he doesn't like them and he doesn't like their attitudes and their belief systems, then some of this may be also targeting, which Trump loves to do, and everything like that. So I hear what you're saying about foundational Americans, but I also know quite a few folks that are from the African nations that came through the legal channels and the correct channels and everything like that, and they are still being targeted as well.
Well, they have to understand, just because they were offered citizenship, their citizenship is still conditional. They it's not like they were born here. And that's why I was saying they have to understand the difference between naturalized citizenship, where you are born in a place, and naturalized citizenship, where you go to a place and you go to a place and you apply for citizenship. So when
Yeah,
you apply for
and some of
citizenship,
them have dual citizenship. So what do you say to those? I mean, they've got citizenship in both their native country as well as this country and everything
correct.
like that. There are a number of people that have dual citizenship.
Dual citizenship has nothing to do with this. The citizenship that's in question is, well, they have to understand that when you come here and you apply for citizenship, your citizenship is conditional. It can be revoked unless you have you unless you're like foundational Black American, you have like lineages of people who are already here. And that's what the people fail to realize is, just because you have citizenship does not mean that it is long term. Your citizenship can be revoked. For example, if you commit a crime, your citizenship can be revoked. If you do something egregious, your citizenship can be revoked. If you commit fraud, like the Somalians, some of the Somalians in Minnesota, they have to understand their citizenship can be revoked. They don't understand that that it's conditional. And when you take the oath of the United States, saying that you pledge to be a United States citizen, and you honor the flag, and you do this, then that is what you're doing. But when you come over here talking about you're a United States citizen, but you still talking about Somali is a better country, and your country this, your country that. Okay, well then you can go back to your country. If you
Yeah,
can
but
be
what do you say that the truth about the matter with Somalia is it was actually a white woman, a 45-year-old white woman
no,
that
no. I mean, I understand that that's part of the problem. It was a white woman who led most of the fraud, but it's also Somalians themselves who have been a part of the fraud situation as well, because there was documented cases where they were taking children and signing in and leaving with the children, and the children were not even in the spaces or whatever. Which that's neither here nor there. I'm just talking about naturalized citizenship versus naturalized citizenship, and they have to understand that their citizenship is still conditional, and that their citizenship can be revoked based off of their actions and things like that or whatever. So
Well, I guess what I'm asking you, Dr. Anthony, is there's been a lot of people that have been targeted, even though they haven't done anything and everything, because we do know that the Trump administration loves to target people that they don't like and everything like that. So that's my issue, is that there's a lot of targeting, even though these people, I didn't hear what you're saying, that there's some folks that are criminals. I mean, they're criminals in any society, in any element. I mean, they're criminals in the African American society as well. But definitely there are some negative sides of that, but there are some that are being targeted, even though they had nothing to do with the crimes, because they are on his hit list. I mean, there's a whole list of countries that he said he doesn't like, and African countries are among those.
no, you're absolutely correct. But the thing about it is we're being targeted as well. So, my thing is, welcome to my world, because we've never not been targeted. So we've always been, the target of, some racist group, some racial, laws, Jim Crow, the Black codes, and things like that or whatever. So but the issue is when you stand there and say, "Oh, I know Black, I know Black, I Somali, I know Black, I Jamaican, I know Black, I'm Dominican, I know Black." You know what I'm saying? And then you want to be Black when it's time. When it comes to benefiting, like money and things like that. But when it comes to the struggle, then you want to separate and say that you're not Black or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like I said, well, maybe I've just been fortunate to know people from that country that are proud
Yeah.
of their lineage, but they're also proud of being Black and everything like that. I mean, one of the major people that created Kwanzaa here in our area was a interracial, or well, I guess you would call it inter country relationship, because Telly and Aya is from the Northeast. I think she's from either
Mhm.
Boston or somewhere like that, but she is a sister, and her husband Telly is from the country of Liberia. But they are very proud of their Liberian roots. He goes back home to visit Liberia and everything like that, but he's also proud to be an American citizen. So I can't speak for other people, but I know because of the nature of the work that I do, a number of people that are proud of their African roots. I mean, shucks, the woman that is now the interim executive director here in this area is from Antigua, which is a Caribbean nation. American, and she's proud of her Antiguan roots and is teaching her young 3-year-old to be proud of that heritage as well and everything. But yeah, definitely she's from Antigua. I think she was born in Antigua and everything like that. So she could technically, as you were saying, go back to the country or be forced back to the country if there were folks that were wanting to do that. But she's also very pro-black. I mean, she's running the center and everything like that.
And I'm not negating that, but what I'm saying is what she can never be is foundational Black American, and that's the problem. You can be Black, but you can never be foundational Black American. Foundational Black American means that your lineage is here. You didn't migrate from a different place and you come here from a different country.
But I guess that what I'm having a hard time understanding. I mean, I understand it, but this has almost come down to the whole argument between assimilationists and accommodationists that went on between Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois and everything like that. So you have some people that are very pro-black and proud of their heritage, and there were some that were willing to assimilate, and that part of the conversation I'm sure goes in Africa as well, that some of these African individuals want to assimilate into the country and others are willing to be more accommodationist and everything like that. So like I said, I think that this is an argument that's been going on both in our culture and in other cultures for decades.
But the thing about it is, again, they could never be foundational Black Americans. Nobody's saying that they can't assimilate into the Black culture, because quite naturally they can, because of the color of their skin. But where we're standing on our standpoint is there need to be some type of separation when it comes down to who receives the money, because we do not want them receiving the money. You are not going to receive the money because you're not a foundational Black American. Your folks didn't go through slavery. Your folks didn't go through Jim Crow. Your folks didn't go through the Black codes. Your folks didn't go through, what our folks went through. And a lot of the problem is they don't even understand, half of the racial turmoil and racial things that we have experienced here in America. Most of them that come over here side with, the white people, and they want that proximity to whiteness. So what we're saying is that as a foundational Black American, we want our own group. Foundational Black American. We're not saying that we can't party together, because we can party together, but we're saying that there needs to be some type of separation. So when it all boils down to it, that our lineage is recognized, our history is recognized, our culture is recognized. Because the first thing that they say is we have no culture. We don't know where we came from. No, I know exactly where I came from, because I'm not from Africa. I can tell you that. I'm from the deep South, straight out of Bayou Natchez, out of Louisiana. So, I know exactly where I came from and things like that. Now, did some of the ancestors come from Africa? Yes. Are we negating it? No. You know what I'm saying? But what we're saying is that, there has to be some type of line drawn, because we're getting ready to move forward with, getting reparations and things like that, and they will not benefit. And that's what the problem is. They want to be Black until it's actually time to be. So, let's take Jasmine Crockett, for example. Jasmine Crockett, hands down, fought for immigrants. She fought for all immigrants, especially Latino immigrants. But what did they do? They voted for the white man. They stood with the white man because they wanted that proximity to white men. So, my thing is, we need to separate ourselves, and we have to understand that there's no Black and brown unity, because people don't side with us. We side with everybody else, and we help everybody else. But when it comes to helping us, they don't side with us. So we have to look out for me, myself, and I. We have to look out for each other, because we are all we got at the end of the day. And it has nothing to do with other Black people trying to say that, they're proud of their African heritage. Be proud of your African heritage. We're not negating that. But what we're saying is we're proud of our heritage as well. We're proud of our culture as well. And we need to separate in certain capacities in order for us to move forward as a group, as foundational Black Americans. So we want to be recognized as foundational Black Americans. We don't want the term African American, because we did not migrate here from Africa. Your friend is African American because they grew up in Africa. They migrated here to the States, so therefore they are African American. We are not. Our lineage and our heritage is here. And as I stated before, did we have ancestors come from Africa? Yes, some people did. Some and you know, and then we also had, you know, like freedmen in the states during the time of, you know, enslaved
Mhm.
people, slavery and things like that. All black people were not slaves, and people have to understand that, you know. And so and that's where the separatism is coming into play. We want to be known for our lineage and our heritage, and we want DNA tests proving that we are foundational Black Americans and not, you know, African Americans. We're not saying that you can't be proud of your culture. You can be proud of your culture, but we're just saying, just leave us out of it. For example, when Ghana, the president of Ghana came over here to lay a wreath on our ancestors' graves in New York, why are you laying a wreath on our ancestors' graves in New York? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? There is no reason why you needed to lay a wreath on our ancestors' graves in New York. Your people were primarily the main reason why our people was enslaved in the first place. You sold our people for tobacco, guns, and, you know, other things, and you're trying to now come over here saying that, oh, it's the greatest, you know, crime against humanity, when you were a direct participant in that particular crime. But you want to receive the benefits. You want to receive the benefits from the people who experienced it, the victims, us. You want to take our benefits. So no, we're not with that. We want to be separated. We want to show our own heritage, our own lineage, our own, you know, everything that we have over here as foundational Black Americans, our own culture. You know what I'm saying? And we're not saying that we can't kumbaya. You know what I'm saying? Because we can kumbaya. But at the end of the day, we still want to be recognized as foundational Black Americans.
That makes sense. Usually, one of those, it's almost like a separate nation and everything like that, which some people have talked about. But then there's been the notion of Pan Africanism, which is like you're a big fan of, and everything like that. Because Pan Africanism was an attempt, and Malcolm X was part of that, to have support from the African nations and from the United States as well, and everything like that. Because I know even here we just had one of our mosques get a historical dedication, and Malcolm X had been a visitor at that mosque along with Martin Luther King and everything like that. It was one of the first mosques here in North Carolina. So I do remember when the Pan African movement was very big, and that was a attempt to have the African nations and the African freedom fighters organize and support each other. And there was some progress made in that situation. Now, not everybody was a big fan of that, but I know that my dad was, and I know that I have grown to be a fan of it and everything like that. So definitely there was an attempt to have some support among the African nations and the American nations, and the those that were fighting for civil rights and everything along those lines. So, like I said, there's a whole part of history, because I am the historian here at the Hayti, including that's the reason that the Hayti has part of its name, is because it's named after the freedom that was going on and the freedom liberation that Toussaint Louverture did and everything like that. So that is part of the reason that it is called the Hayti Center and everything like that, because there were some of the folks that were involved in the Black Wall Street that were also proud of what was going on when that particular country was kicking out the colonialists and everything like that. So I think that there can be some agreement and disagreement and everything like that. But yeah, not everybody feels that way that you do and everything like that. I mean, we just had James Clyburn here, and James Clyburn is the just wrote a book recently, and he is the senator from South Carolina. His book is about the first eight and everything like that, because the first eight was the first eight black senators from Reconstruction. So he's talking about some of their history, including some of their history with some of the founding fathers, because Frederick Douglass gets all the acclaim, but there were some others that he should have gotten just as much, if not more, acclaim, that were from his home state of South Carolina. And I think he just recently spoke at one of the action things, speaking of reparations and all along those lines and everything like that. So definitely there's some folks that are trying to figure out, because even one of my relatives is involved in that whole notion of who will get reparations and when they will get reparations and everything like that. But if you study the reparations argument, you'll hear Sandy's name, Sandy Darty, because he's definitely a proponent of us getting reparations and all along those lines. But he is a cousin, I think he's second cousin to my mom, which would make him like my third cousin
Yeah, and I mean, and again, we are in talks of reparations and things like that, but we need to be separated as a foundational Black American group versus everybody else and things like that, because they don't get to come over here and claim to be Black and benefit off of our struggles and things like that, which they have already been benefiting off our struggles, and they have so many resources and so many things set up for these people that Black people are being turned away against, that we cannot even access and things like that. So we're basically tired of the BS that's going on, and so we definitely want to separate, and we definitely want to show who foundational Black Americans are. And there has been a lot of traction on I don't know if you've been keeping up with it on social media and things like that or whatever. So it's not a small group of people, it's a large band of people that are wanting to separate and things like that or whatever. But Mark, is the clock on the wall says that's all. So but before we go, can you download that video really quickly for with Dr. Claude Anderson about delineation and separatism and things like that, so we can incorporate that really quickly before we go into this episode? I sent it to you.
You sent it to me already?
Yes, I've already sent it to you.
Okay. And you wanted that in this episode?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's see
From Dr. Claude Anderson.
Dr. Claude Anderson. Yes, I see where you sent that. But that one was, let's see, that's the one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other. Let's see. Must have sent it. That's 651. So let's see if I can find that one. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay. We'll add that into this once we get that one down. So see if I can get that in there as well and everything like that. So let's see if we can get this into this particular episode. So, oh, that's not what I wanted. We'll try to get this in there as well. So hold on 1 second.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to add that one very shortly as well, and everything. It looks like that's almost there. So let's see if we can add that. So you can add their comments to that one as well. And there we go. It's downloading. And we'll see what goes on in that space and all along those lines. So hold on. It's still downloading and going into process and everything like that. 1 second. See if we can get it up. It's taking its sweet time downloading. We're going to get that up there shortly and everything like
Sorry
that.
about the delay, folks. It's my fault. I was late with sending Mark the videos and things.
No problem.
So I do
No
apologize.
problem at all. Those things happen. We'll make it happen and we'll make it work and everything like that. Sometimes things happen. So that is no problem at all. We'll make it happen and see if we can add it. It's taking its sweet time downloading, but so there it goes. I'll play that right now. So we'll play this so that it's added into the video. So hold on 1 second. I'll play that and then you can comment on it and then we'll end and everything like that. But here's his comments.
You said something earlier in an answer where you said that you talk about native blacks. And so that clearly sounds as if you are delineating native blacks versus someone that comes here from Bermuda or Jamaica or wherever they may
That's right.
they may come from that is black.
That's right.
And the purpose of that is what? Because you on the surface, it would be like, hey, everybody here that's black gets treated a certain way. Why are you making that delineation?
That is an excellent point. You know why? Because you see, those people coming in from Jamaica or coming in from Africa, they have not been treated like black folk in this country. That's the first thing. And secondly, historically, they haven't had those historical experiences. They come in here voluntarily. When they come in here, they bring some cultural aspects from Africa. They can go back anytime they want. But the black people in this country are exceptional people. Nobody's been mistreated, maltreated like them. Black folk are exceptional. They're the only people that came here forcefully, one. Two, they're the only people that denied their humanity. Three, they were the only people denied a right to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Four, they were the only people denied the right to participate in government. Five, they were the only people denied the right to vote. Six, they were the only people denied the right to have an education. Seven, they were the only people denied the right to have a business. Eight, they were the only people that participated in every war that this country has had since its founding, but whose mother country has never been against this country. All those immigrants come from countries where they fought America, and they came in. And the seven, that they are the oldest and most patriotic people in the country. Not the Confederates in the South. They're not the most patriotic people waving the Confederate flag. The most patriotic people in this country are black people, native blacks, because you see 99% of all those blacks have been direct descendants of slaves. They've been here before 99% of all the other people ever arrived in this country. They are special people. And because they are special people, they need to be recognized, appreciated, and reparated for what they've done in this country and building this country. They're the ones that built the bridges, the roads, cut the timber, the trees, and cleared the land, raised the tobacco, cotton, indigo. They're the people that fought to raise in every war to protect this country. The people coming from Africa or coming from Jamaica didn't. They came here voluntarily. And the most important point on this is if you lump them with black folk, then you give the dominant white society a justification to say we don't owe black folk anything. Mm-hmm. Because you see, the blackness that's native, the blackness, black people's blackness is more than just color. It is their heritage, it's their history, it's their code of conduct, and more importantly, it is their badge of honor, and it's what it symbolizes the indebtedness that this country has to them. This country does not have an indebtedness to people coming from Africa. Mm-hmm. They only have an indebtedness to people coming in from the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. If you lump black folk in there, you deprive black folk of the benefit, the debt that's owed them. Don't do that.
Whew, you are spitting fire. Let's
I mean, you know, Dr. Claude Anderson explained it best himself. I mean, there's no other way to say it, you know, and again, we have to separate ourselves from the others if we want to receive the benefits from our enslaved ancestors. They cannot, you know, piggyback, and they cannot receive, you know, the fruits from what our ancestors' labor has cost us and cost them. It's just no way possible.
You said I remember the Pan-African movement and everything like that, so it was very popular trying to unify the countries, but it sounds like they're going in the opposite direction now, so we'll see which way the bells glow and which way things sway this time around, because there's always down this whole argument as to whether to incorporate some of the African culture and everything like that. Like I said, Baba Chuck Davis was a big supporter of us understanding the culture, but also understanding our own culture as well before he passed away some 8 years ago, because he was definitely one that helped bring African dance, which you're hearing in the background, to this area and everything like that, even though he's originally, I think, from Raleigh and then spent a lot of time in New York as well. So there's and a lot of the Juneteenth celebration that will be coming up will focus on everything from the Buffalo Soldiers to some of the African input in the culture.
With Africa, Juneteenth was a holiday that came out of Texas, and it was celebrated because the enslaved people were notified on June 19th that slavery had been abolished. That had nothing to do with Africa, and they're trying to hijack our history, and that's another thing that we have a problem with. Why are you trying to hijack our history? Our history had nothing to do with you directly. And that's what I have an issue with. They're trying to hijack things that we have done over here. It has nothing to do with that. And to be honest, on Pan-Africanism, Marcus Garvey was the one that was really starting, Pan-Africanism, and he wasn't a foundational Black American. He was from Jamaica. So quite naturally, he would have said, let's leave this land and things like that or whatever. So it goes back to, like just knowing who are foundational Black Americans, what our heritage is, what our culture is, and things like that. But those other people are trying to hijack our culture, and that's what we have a problem with.
But even Martin Luther King said that he was very much involved in some of the Pan-African movement and some of the movements to get other cultures, and definitely Malcolm X was, and both of them were so Marcus might have been one of them, but there were others that were American-based, just like there were some of the people that were involved in the various Black Wall Streets.
Martin also stated that he also regret that he walked us into the lion's den, that he also regretted that he pushed for integration of Black Americans. So he also recanted on talking about all that stuff that came before. He said that I can't remember the exact quote, but he regretted bringing us into the lion's den, and the lion's den was into integration, because we were way more successful in segregation. We had way more businesses, owned more, and things like that or whatever.
Well, that even comes back to what Claude said that I disagreed with, because we definitely had a lot of ownership, including the fact that there's a quote here talks about that we made our own mattresses, so you didn't have to go to Sears or any of the major mattress
companies.
We
did everything.
We were making them in our own neighborhoods and everything like that. We had our own hospital here in Durham. It was Lincoln Hospital, but there were a number of Black hospitals throughout the country, and we had our own projects and our own things that we were creating and everything like that. But even at the local Juneteenth and the local Black Genius celebrations, there are a number of folks that are incorporating some of the things that have to do with African heritage and everything like that. Now, you might not like that, but there's a number of those that are here in our area that they are incorporated, and they are seen as being an important part of what is being done in those celebrations. We just did Black Genius about a month and a half ago, because my mom was actually one of those.
No, I understand, but Africans have nothing to do with Juneteenth, and that's taken away from the whole point of the holiday. African Americans, they have nothing to do with Juneteenth. If they really look up the meaning of Juneteenth, you will see the meaning of Juneteenth. Enslaved people were informed on June 19th. Based off in actually it was Texas. That had nothing to do with Africa. So no, I personally don't like the fact that they're trying to integrate, like African culture.
That's what I'm saying, because I know a young lady from Charlotte that's involved in the planning of the Juneteenth there. I know some of the people involved in the Juneteenth here. I know that Exotic, and even a gentleman that sells like some African fashions and some African clothes, they will be participating. Shucks Kipo, or his nieces we call him, and everything, will probably be selling his African shirts. Well, he's got some illness, so he may not be doing it this year and everything like that, but he's actually a Muslim American, not even an African or American. I think he identifies more from his Muslim faith, if I remember correctly, because some people identify from their religious faith just as much as they do from their cultural faith as well. So that's another division point, because I mean that's that whole notion of divided and conquer, and that's where some people are wondering if that's what we're heading to, is this whole notion of finding ways that they can continue to divide us.
Oh no, we're definitely divided. There's no other way to say it. We're definitely divided, and to be honest with you, we want to be divided, because the thing about it is I'm going to say this and then we can end the show. There was a man who was just arrested who just killed a white woman, and they're trying to blame categorize him as Black American. No, he was not Black American. He was from one of those other countries. So no, we definitely want to be divided, and we definitely want that separatism and things like that. We definitely want our own category as foundational Black Americans, because we don't want to be tied to them when they commit crimes and when they're doing these egregious things. We don't want that tag up on us as foundational Black Americans. So
if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like, because one of the things we do another show on this network, that the Cape Pasa Mohair, and sometimes they are very proud of their differentiation in terms of their cultures and everything like that. So Honduran is not necessarily going to be seen the same way as a Mexican, or the same way as a or somebody from Colombia, or Brazil, even though Brazil has a lot of African roots as well and everything. So if I'm hearing you correctly and everything, you would like there to be the whatever, how many, I think it's like 50, or the various countries of Africa with a separate countries that would be the foundational African Americans and everything like that. So it'd be like 51 black countries, roughly the 50 nations.
Honestly, no, we just don't want to be tied with them. We just don't want to be tied with African American. We want to be foundational Black American.
That's what I'm saying. That would be a separate category. It's foundational African Americans, and then
Black Americans,
and there would be 50 of the African nations.
no, they can be African American because they all came from the continent of Africa.
But I'm telling you, they don't like that either because they like to
don't care
differentiate
what they
themselves
like.
either because they like
Honestly, I don't care
Nigerians
what
do
they
not
like
see themselves as the same as South Africans,
Yeah,
partially
and
because of the
honestly,
history.
I don't care what they like because it's not about them. It's about us over here as foundational Black Americans, and whatever they categorize themselves as, that's what they categorize themselves as. We could care less. You know what I'm saying? But we want to be known as foundational Black Americans. And they have already delineated against us anyway because they say, no, I'm South African, I'm Nigerian, I'm this, I'm Ghanaian.
So we have a differentiation because that must be a DC thing because I don't see that in North Carolina. Most of the Africans that I see identify and are proud of their African American connection.
It is not a good, but Mark, even with the African American connection, let's just be real about it. The African American term didn't come about until the 80s when I was a little kid, and I read about this when I was a little kid. Jackson was the one that termed the term as African American. And to be real with you, he was when he passed away on his stuff, he was known as a Cherokee Indian. He didn't even identify as African American, but he wanted everybody else to identify as African American. We are not African American, and so we are coming to the point where we want to be categorized as foundational Black American.
That's what I'm saying. So it sounds like you wanted to go from, because you're right about the history, because it went from the time that we were Negroes to colored, because I think on my birth certificate it may even still say Negro or colored, to African American, to now you're saying that it could go from African American to foundational Black American.
We were miscategorized from the jump because most of us, both of my grandmothers are Native American, Cherokee and Choctaw. You know what I'm saying?
I have a lot of Native American roots. I mean, I got cousins that.
Yeah, and we were miscategorized from the onset. And so when I remember at the earlier point of this show, and I told you that a lot of the people who were so-called claiming that they were Native Americans are now being told that they can no longer receive the money and they no longer can live on the reservation because they are not Native Americans. So that right there within itself is another reason why we should separate so that we can get our just due benefit. Because again, like Dr. Claus said, if we allow all those other people to come in and say that they're African American or whatever, then that leaves grounds for, oh, we don't need reparations. And most of the people who said that we don't need reparations are not a foundational Black American. And we can take that one to the bank. They're not foundational Black Americans because a foundational Black American has always fought for reparations and things like that or whatever. But the other ones who are coming over here who are politicians will say that, Black people don't need reparations. No, you don't need reparations, but foundational Black people need reparations because, again, they did not go through the struggle that we went through. They're piggybacking off of our struggles and our plight and our trials and tribulations. So therefore, they don't understand when we say the things that we say. When we want to delineate, they don't understand the reason why we want that separatism and things like that or whatever. So, it goes deeper than, what we can talk about in an hour on this show. And we'll have to, pick up on this topic again, later on and things like that or whatever. But, the clock on the wall says that's all, Mark, and I'm tired.
All right, no problem. So we can wrap it up and everything along those lines because the clock on the wall says it's time to wrap it up. So we'll wrap it up and we'll have another edition. Well, we will air this one on next week, but we'll have another edition maybe next week as well. But we'll definitely have some conversations because I did have something else that I was going to bring up and everything along those lines, but I'll just tell you about it. But it was the whole notion of hair and all along those lines because I did see that one of the actresses, and maybe that's what we can talk about next week and everything like that, that she was complaining that people were trying to tell her how to maintain her own hairstyle and everything like that. So that's one of the stories that I was going to bring up that I didn't get to and all along those lines. So definitely that might be something that we can bring up on a future episodes and all in that space, because it was one of those Hollywood actresses that was basically saying that she was going to do it her way and not have other people tell her how she should be styling her folks' hair and everything like that. So we can bring that up on a future show.
We can definitely bring that up on the future show. But like we said, the clock on the wall says that's all. So deuces, my loves. We will see you here on a different day and a different time. So enjoy. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.